What's up everyone? Alex here. Oh boy, gaming regrets. We've all had them. And given the collab that I did with David Fink recently, even a positive leaning channel like mine isn't immune to any of that. So I've decided to join in this reverie of YouTubers sharing their gaming regrets to provide the necessary highs and lows on the channel so you don't think that I'm living in a fantasy world where everything's perfect all the time. So let's find out what these were, shall we? The Alex from the early 2000s and the Alex today were two very different people. And it's because of that the first regret I wanted to share was something that really breaks my heart today. Selling Kudelka and Shadow Hearts. I know, it's deplorable. I'll give credit where credit is due though. Young me loved Kudelka, so naturally, when Shadow Hearts came around and boasted that it's a follow-up of sorts to Kudelka, he snapped it up ASAP and played the heck out of it. But younger Alex also didn't have a ton of money. So, what did he do when he got done with the games? Off to Funko Land he went. Nowadays, you'll find the English versions of Kudelka going for as low as $200 on eBay, used, with used copies of Shadow Hearts going for almost $60. And I can't see myself justifying buying these games at these prices. So, SNK, if you still care about these games, I'd absolutely love it if you guys did a remaster. Several years ago, there were 3 Wii JRPGs that got stuck in Japan with little to no hope of them seeing Western shores. At that time, a group of gamers called Operation Rainfall campaigned to get these games released in the West. These games were as follows: The Last Story, Pandora's Tower, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Can you imagine not getting Xenoblade Chronicles? It's a frickin' trilogy now, selling millions after that. And we all have Op Rainfall to thank. But while I picked up The Last Story and Xenoblade Chronicles, I passed on Pandora's Tower. Why? Because I listened to reviews. It might not have been the best game of the 3, but there's something to be said about physically having this trilogy of unlikely games, whose historical significance is easily forgotten. Even now, I try to convince myself that I did the right thing. But when I see that gap on my shelf where Pandora's Tower would have been, my heart gently weeps. And speaking of this trio of games, we all have a pile of shame in our backlogs, with some reaching the thousands. But if I were to select one game that I wish I took the time to play when it got released, that would be The Last Story. The Last Story is Hironobu Sakaguchi's last console game before focusing on his mobile development pursuits. It's interesting to think that we live in an era where people don't even know who that is. So let's just say that Sakaguchi is the man responsible for Final Fantasy, who I actually interviewed a couple of years ago. Click the link in the description or the card shown if you want to watch that one. The Last Story is a beautiful game that really pushed the Wii hardware in a different way than Xenoblade did, featuring some really incredible graphics that I still admire to this day. It's got a unique real-time party-based battle system that just looks so cool, with dynamic actions making the whole experience feel visceral and more frantic than what's really happening. And while this regret could be one of those that could easily be rectified by just popping the game disc into the Wii, that would actually require me to unearth wherever the heck the Wii is from our last move, and then plug it in and finagle with a whole bunch of wires that just make it a pain to do. And that's not even counting the other games that I need to play. Maybe someday, when the time is right, I can finally remove this from my list of regrets. And this leads us to the last one, which is an ongoing regret. I remember buying Resonance of Fate years ago and literally getting stuck on one particular combat tutorial that had me scratching my head for hours on end. And after I spent several days trying to figure that part out, I finally returned it to GameStop and used the credit to buy a new game. But you're probably wondering to yourself, why didn't you just look up a guide? You see, younger me was also a prideful fellow who felt that he didn't need to look things up because he felt that he could figure things out on his own. But obviously this is all folly and a silly assertion that it's bad to ask for help. So fast forward literally a few days ago, and a fan gave me a copy of the game on Steam, much to my surprise. And sure enough, when I booted it up, the visuals reminded me of how much I loved how this game looked. Tri-A spent a ton of resources to make the game look stunning, and I believe it's the best looking game they've ever made. But when I finally got dropped into the game itself, confusion started settling in. What's this grid-based puzzle system that you had to use to get to certain places? What are all these terms I have to remember during combat? Why is this all mission-based? What's even going on? Memories of my previous experience with Resonance of Fate started coming back, and even when I looked up how to get through the arena tutorials and what's asked of me, I still felt like I was drowning and the game's characters just laughing at me from a distance because of my inability to understand what it's trying to teach me. But alas, I haven't quite given up on the game, for now. But until the time comes when I finally truly understand how it plays, if that were even possible, its presence in my Steam library will continue to taunt me like a schoolyard bully. And those, my friends, are my gaming regrets, at least the ones that I could remember. I'm pretty sure if I dig deep into the well, I'll find more. But until then, I want to hear about your gaming regrets. Post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. And if you want to watch the collab I did with David Fink, you'll find a link to that in the description of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.